the top points team. If they lose this, they're likely going through in 5th place. Immortals, they're down the ranks. If they win and leapfrog them into 4th place and grab that secured playoff spots, that's a huge increase in seedings. But the other way around, it doesn't matter so much.
I love it, John. That's the point I was trying to raise as well. Fortunately, though, the best of 5 is about to begin. The grand finals, and I do hope it's grand. I'd love to see all 5. It's been a bit of a rarity here in the Overwatch Open, but we do start on, I'm going to say it right this time, Nepal, and we're going to be seeing
My brothers and sisters.
All right, Nepal.
Nailed it.
Coming soon for you guys. In 5 seconds, we're getting this series started. It's a best of 5 in the grand finals of the Overwatch Open Qualifier number 4 for Europe. Qualifiers for qualifiers, folks. That is the name of the game right now in Overwatch. And taking a look at these rosters, quite similar stuff on both sides. In fact, entirely mirrored.
And that's what happens, of course, when you have $300,000 on the line. I don't think they mind that it's going to be a particularly long road. We now have the first major team fight on the outside section of the Shrine is where all the action is mostly going to be happening. Too easy, though, grabbing a double kill to start things off, and Icefeld just hasn't had the same level of traction there on Tracer, unfortunately. Fact Fiction grabbing another one on his opposite number as well, and Immortals are going to secure the point first.
Well, actually, Icefeld did a whole lot of damage, but he was about the only one on his team that didn't go down immediately in that fight. He will have his Pulse Bomb for the next engagement, but not too much to work with right now for the Luminosity squad, as Immortals comfortably sitting here on the point. Too Easy actually waiting in the wings, if you can see, just waiting, looking for an opportunity for the Pulse Bomb, coming from behind. It almost appears that he hasn't been caught out yet, hasn't been called out by the Luminosity squad. Of course, Tierney is going to be able to get 2 here. That's very nice, but Too Easy working his magic on the supports. Both supports could go down here, but left with 1 HP. It's not going to be quite enough. And on the razor's edge, Luminosity was in that fight.
Yeah, and actually, during the rest of that fight, Saini managed to grab his Dragon Blade and got a reasonable amount of damage done on Immortals, so that actually resulted in the point being flipped while we were watching the supports there. The rest of the DPS characters just managed to hold on long enough not to die, and as a result, Luminosity have flipped this one back, and Immortals going to have to retake. They've got 2 ultimates available, though, and here we go. Shadowburn with Dragon Blade available is going to be the first to go down. That is not how these guys wanted to start. And now Fact Fiction moving with the Primal Rage, but he's basically the only player to do that right now, and Ruster, well, he's going to be able to save himself, but Fact Fiction seems to have bounced off somewhere.
Yeah, Fact Fiction jumping around, and this guy, we actually saw him use Primal Rage to knock folks off cliffs in a way that we don't commonly see, of course.
Triple kill for Too Easy.
Yeah, Too Easy making it happen here for his team, and Immortals with a pretty comfortable lead now, although a ton of ultimates up for this next engagement. We'll see how they're used.
You've got 4 ultimates for Luminosity, so as far as team wipes were concerned, that definitely counts as a productive team wipe, but at the same time, Immortals have been building theirs, and they've just been steadily killing people without actually using their own ultimates. So it's actually going to be 4 versus 5. This could end up being a very messy engagement indeed. Here comes the Graviton Surge, and the Winston Bubble actually absorbed the Pulse Bomb there. Nothing got done. Too Easy not able to get the purchase he wanted. That is not how Immortals envisaged this fight to happen. Only a single ultimate left available. Shadowburn now. Is he going to need to use it, or are Luminosity going to be forced off the point? They're still jumping around, and Saini is actually a massive threat.
Yeah, Luminosity kind of snowballing here. And what we're seeing out of Too Easy right now is he's constantly flanking from the entire opposite side from the rest of his team, which can work fantastically, and it can also fail miserably. In that case, he's able to do a ton of damage, but none of Luminosity were really focusing on him. They were focusing on the other 5.
It was really Ruster as well, because he put the bubble there just before the Pulse Bomb went off, so it killed absolutely nobody, and Too Easy is not going to be happy about that. We're now moving into the next fight. This is a little bit scrappier, but we have got the Pulse Bomb, Graviton Surge. There's the combo. Icefeld getting the double, and now for the first time, I want to say Luminosity winning successive team fights to allow them to maintain control of the point.
Yeah, folks, it doesn't get more clean than that, as it's been taken over by Luminosity, and this is back and forth indeed, as the control has been shifted from one team to the other quite a few times already. On the first point on Nepal.
Now we move on. We're just going to sit here saying it over and over, aren't we? All right. And Icefeld now continuing his dominance, though, and he's actually woken up off Source. Shadowburn needing to take him out, and that's because he has Dragon Blade available, looking for Manitin in the back, but he's going to have to put the toys away and move on back here. Someone obviously told him off for running with scissors, and he can't actually be seen in public doing that. It's all health and safety and everything. But we have got him still alive, only going to be using the shurikens, but will successfully continue the pickoffs off Luminosity. This longevity from Shadowburn is actually really impressive. You've seen the bit where he kills everybody with Dragon Blade, great, but he's actually staying alive and continuously killing people when his ultimate isn't available.
Yeah, and he's close to another one already. He just took out the Dragon Blade, but all the way up to 80% again. And Immortals looks like they have been able to secure this first point once again, but very close stuff between these two teams. And it really does come down to those early picks. Stuff like the Tracer Pulse Bomb, a complete game changer. If you're able to make that happen for your team early in an engagement, it changes everything. That was like you mentioned, perfect Winston bubble, or barrier as you like to call it. And that's it's actually called.
Yep, very good there. And Too Easy, of course, coming back into himself. And I think he got like 1 or 2 more really good Pulse Bombs later on. In the map. He's going to be breathing a sigh of relief there, because that fight actually resulted in Luminosity taking the point for the first time, and they were able to defend that once as well. So Immortals definitely made to sweat there, but they were able to take the first point.
All right, again, as we've talked about this weekend so far, teams are going to take the high ground whenever they possibly can here, so both teams are going to meet up top. Neither team running with a diva or anything to block the incoming fight. You know, that's really something we see a lot more out of the North American teams. For whatever reason, Europe does not play with diva on this point.
Oh, Ruster diving in, and he actually gets 2 kills right off the bat, grabbing a 3rd on Raucus as well. That is a triple kill for Winston there for the side of Luminosity, and the opposite is happening on point number 2. Luminosity have absolutely battered Immortals aside to go ahead and grab the point first.
Okay, and here comes a Genji and a Winston, still flanking, still near the point. Looks like they're trying to distract more than anything, as the Genji just playing as evasive as he possibly can. Icefeld's going to get an early pick on the Zenyatta. No more Discord orb for you, Luminosity. So looks like Immortal's going to hold on to this point fairly decently. Shadowborn brought down to so little health, but does end up surviving in the end. Icefeld doing his best, but that is a big whiff on the Pulse Bomb.
Yeah, that's not particularly good, unfortunately. That might actually have a little bit of an advantage. Both sides now using a Pulse Bomb each, and Too Easy managing to get the pick up on Mineral here. That's going to be pretty big. Oh, Shadowburn, such a key player, and actually staying alive for so long on that previous point. Going down now as well. We're going to be moving on in with the Lucio ultimate. That was on the side of Immortals, and we still have Mineral here with his sound barrier available, so Luminosity should be able to come back here if they are able to get the team together. But right now, Immortals are doing an awful lot of damage. Both teams trading those kills. Where is Mineral? Where is that ultimate? It doesn't look like we'll even need it. Icefeld comes in with the triple.
And I think what we saw from Luminosity right there was just excellent teamwork. They were calling out targets and taking them out systematically. Icefeld doing a ton of damage as Tracer right now, and I gotta say, it sort of feels like Icefeld might be winning the Tracer v Tracer battles right now, doing just that much more damage than Too Easy.
Yes, he definitely has in the first part of this game, and there's no doubt Too Easy has to up his game here. Here comes everybody collapsing in on top of the Graviton Surge. That is a quad kill for Luminosity, and they're just going to go ahead and pick up the change like it's nobody's business. This is really unfortunate for Immortals right now, and they are struggling. 11% versus 66. Luminosity aren't just taking the games to Immortals, they are absolutely hammering them on this second point.
Yeah, a little bit of background on Icefeld. He actually comes from the natural selection community, so if you ever have played that game, there's a character called Skulk. It's the basic life form for the aliens, and you're jumping around it's the fastest character in the game, so totally makes sense to see him as a Tracer main right now. Of course, he can't play other characters, but his Tracer looking dominant so far.
Transcendence being forced out now to try and avoid some of that damage. Here comes Zany with the blade. He's looking for targets, but unfortunately, actually able to get the tail end of Transcendence there, and as a result, he manages to get the first kill off on Forsaken, and Manitin, we were talking about him earlier, grabs a double as well. Immortals trying to come back in, but only Fact Fiction with a single kill to his name, and they will get another wipe. 99% for Luminosity, and looking comfortable to make this 1-1.
Yeah, that was a big Pulse Bomb in the end there by Too Easy, but it just simply wasn't enough. The rest of his team is not in the...
All right, we're moving on in, and the Discord Orb immediately going down on Ruster, by the way, as he jumps into the Immortals lineup, but it's not going to matter. They don't actually have the DPS to take him out right now, because Too Easy was the first person down, and once again, Manitin from the back has just been doing so much damage. His tracking on the opposing team has been so on point. This is really important, because take a look at the ultimate charge. Luminosity are going to be able to get their ultimates as a whole so much faster than the Immortals if they are able to continue to take team fights like this as the maps spawn out.
All right, so Too Easy and co got to find a new way in, and Too Easy, as he's like to do, is taking the flanking angle. Might get a kill on Zenyatta, but Zenyatta backing off to the health kit. Too Easy also trying to duel with another Tracer at this moment, but the first kills are going the way of Immortals for the first time here on Sanctum.
Yeah,
it collected the point.
Oh, hang on a second, though, because a Genji Blade could potentially throw a fish in the barrel here. Saini trying to make it happen. He's getting 2. He's got 3. He's looking for 4. Too Easy finally takes him out. It's so difficult once you actually see the Genji coming on in, you go, oh no, I've done all this hard work. This cannot possibly be about to be undone. But that's exactly what he just did for Luminosity.
Well, Shadowburn does his best to try and extend this a little bit longer, but he might die here. It looks like he will indeed. So nice kill by Icefeld there. That's going to put Immortals on the back foot until Shadowburn is back in the action. They have no ultimates to their name, and they're down 1. They've got to wait.
That all stemmed from Saini. Zoms did a really good job of leading the guys astray, and Zoms and Raucous fighter. We got a couple of kills between them. Too Easy followed up, and then we thought, okay, Immortals have got the point. Now hang on a second. Saini absolutely monstrous with that Genji, doing an incredible job. We now have the next fight happening, though. Icefeld still continuing to be a little bit of an MVP in this game. He's doing a lot of damage, and he's built... I know, right? I was looking at that going...
Lucio, the new DPS character here, folks.
Hey, man, we've heard this before. Immortals are winning the fight. Oh, Saini comes out. Oh, it looks like he has a Dragon Blade available. Oh, my God, this is absolute carnage. Raucous managing to stem the flow, calming everybody down. But Luminosity have taken the point once again. It's 75% versus 37. Immortals maybe weren't expected to be behind at this point, but that is what they are risking right now. Ruster coming out with the Primal Rage to try and stop the Graviton Surge from having a particularly good effect. Manages actually to kill Zoms as well. The Graviton Surge basically wasted on the part of Immortals there, and it looks like they are about to be wiped. Winston is absolutely going ham, and combining with Icefeld, Luminosity might just have done this.
Yeah, and guys, the meme in the early days of the Overwatch competitive scene was no brain, no aim. It's a Winston main. But we're seeing people become more and more talented with Winston, especially with that Primal Rage. It's not really known for doing a ton of damage, but if you're able to use it in the right way, bash people up against the wall, you can get successive hits and actually dole out a ton of DPS. We're seeing that happen more and more as Winston has become a game changer in King of the Hill.
That was definitely a lot of brain right there. I thought Ruster popped that just as the Graviton Surge popped down. He's also trying to bat people towards the pit as well, making sure that the defense have to be a little bit careful with where they're going to land, otherwise they end up getting that environmental kill. And at the end of it, of course, still using the gun to make sure that he can zone out and divide and conquer and allow Icefeld to do the damage he wanted. Really well played there from Ruster, and that does mean that Luminosity on Nepal are up 2-1, and we go into the 4th control point here with the Immortals now trying to even the series.
Okay, and they're going to clash up top once again. As always, dropping the Winston bubbles, giving their teams a little bit of extra time. And actually, look, Fact-Fiction waits to drop the bubble, drops it a second later than his opponent, Winston. He will end up going down, though, as Too Easy and... Oh, actually, Fact-Fiction's still up, and this is a crazy fight because both teams are losing people left and right. Very hard to call, but Saini comes out on top, and he's up to 60% on his ultimate already. He could be grabbing that Dragon Blade in just a second.
And I think actually we have a little bit of a switch up here. Too Easy has actually gone on to Reaper. So we now have an interesting dynamic where Icefeld is staying on Tracer and Too Easy going, okay, it doesn't look like I'm winning this battle. I'm going to go ahead and switch it up. Now this control point is a little bit more closed off because there are only 2 entrances in. It's not open on all 4 sides. So Death Blossom dropping down from the high ground isn't ridiculous at all and can actually end up doing a lot of damage.
Yeah, and that might be to try to take out Winston. Ruster has been doing a great job as Winston so far.
Oh,
but
no,
of course, what is... Oh, all right.
That was quick.
Okay, so maybe he's trying to take out Icefeld. Who knows? Yeah, it's the mind of Too Easy.
Now a sound barrier coming out from Raucous as Immortals try and exert some sort of authority on the point. Shadowburn coming out now, but he's actually met with a charging Winston, and he gets taken out by Icefeld as well. Mid-ultimate, which is not ideal at all for Genji. Icefeld having an absolutely superb game. Luminosity right now up to 45% versus 0 on the point. And I mean, Immortals are trying to come in, but Luminosity are actually, they're starting to dominate here.
Yeah, the fact that there's 3 King of the Hill maps in this best of 5 makes me start to feel like Luminosity might be gaining an edge. They seem to have the edge here on King of the Hill. I wonder how it's going to change up when we head on to the assault maps and the payload maps, but right now they're looking fantastic.
This is absolutely great. Both teams now trading kills, very high octane, very intense here. There's a massive Graviton Surge there. Manitin trying to make it count, manages to take out Fact-Fiction, and that's actually a really big takeout there because frankly that's an awful lot of hit points to remove from the front line of Immortals. There are only 2 ultimates left, Deadeye and Transcendence for them. They have to make this count up to 85% now for Luminosity, and Immortals haven't gotten a sniff in.
Yeah, it's already up to 90%. Where did this round go, Jorisar?
This is ridiculous.
Luminosity has been dominant thus far. Too easy, now switched on over to McCree, but he has to hit these headshots onto Tracer. A single body shot and a headshot will get the kill, or even a headshot with the Discord Orb on Tracer will get that kill as well, but it's too little too late. It's already spiraling out of control, and it looks like Luminosity is going to pick up this first map.
Wow.
In dominant fashion.
Yes, this was a really, really nice statement of intent there from Luminosity. I am very pleased to be seeing them not only step it up to the level that they have been in the last couple of weeks, but now to say, actually, guys, against some of the teams that were beating the super top teams in Europe, well, guess what? We're going to brush you aside as well. That was very, very nicely played there.
Oh, wow, look at that. Look at that, Winston.
So good.
Victory screen. Beautiful. All right. Shadowburn with play of the game. You saw the golden shuriken as well. Of course, he has a lot of experience with that character. He'll be taking out the Dragon Blade, but that Dragon Blade wasn't enough to give them the win here. Unfortunately for Immortals, they go down and out, and after the first round, it sort of looked dominant in favor of Luminosity, and I don't think a lot of people were expecting to see that. But maybe this is where Luminosity is most comfortable, here on King of the Hill, which does not bode well for Immortals at all.
But the cracks, I feel like, are starting to appear for Immortals here as well. You saw Too Easy switch off onto Reaper, and less than 10 seconds later go, actually, I might want a McCree in this situation. You can hear the debate in the comms and them being a little bit unsure as to what is going to work against this Luminosity team. And of course, they're not able to make that work quite far enough. The third map that Luminosity took allowed them to get I believe it was just 100% versus 0. It was a very clean wipe on that last point on the poll. What can Immortals do from this point onwards? They need to reset. They can't just go in with the same standard composition and go, don't worry guys, we'll win the second one. They might, but you can't rely on it.
Yeah, at least it's a best of 5, so they have a little bit of time to figure things out, but we're going to find out in just a minute what the next map is. Stay tuned, we'll be right back with game number 2.
King of the Hill maps in this map pool plus Temple of Anubis. This could get rough.
Yeah, and here we are, Lijiang. Still a chance for Luminosity and the fans of this team. There are a lot of those. You know, We United has had a Cinderella story, led by Too Easy, of course, who got the boot from the original Reunited roster. They been scrappy, been playing well. I think they won a couple of Ghost Gamers weeklies, and here they are trying to qualify, and in fact they already have qualified. Luminosity will be in the playoffs, but where will they be seated? This is what they're fighting for right here and right now as we move on to Lijiang Tower. Take us away, Jorisar.
A lot is on the line here, especially for Immortals. They are currently outside the top, I want to say outside the top 8 at the moment, but definitely within the top 16. And because they have made it to the finals, I'm certain they will get a playoff spot. What they want to do is rise to the top of those rankings by leapfrogging Luminosity and just going into that 4th guaranteed seed point. Are they going to be able to do that? Those Zombs really need to pick up the game compared to Manitin. That is someone we're going to be watching an awful lot on Lijiang Tower here. Getting the first 3 kills, though, is a very good start for Immortals.
Yeah, very good start, and Fact Fiction. He's been playing Winston almost constantly in every game that I've casted with these guys. He's been sticking to that Winston. This time, he's playing a little Korean girl. Steva.
We need...
it's like the opposite of a huge monkey.
It's true, actually. If you stood them next to each other, a little bit of a disparity. Of course, the mecha is going to help with that just a tad. Right now, though, Luminosity are moving into retake. Is this, was this a lucky first point, or are Immortals going to be making a stand here on Lijiang Tower? Forsaken going down very early on, Insani actually coming in with the sword. We are protected ever so slightly from Raucus by the looks of things, but he goes down as well. Both teams trading kills, but Immortals looking like they are coming up worse for wear.
Actually still fairly even here. Fact Fiction, though, does go down, so Immortals now down 1 in this fight. Make that down a couple. So, reclaim control here for LG. They're doing quite well once again. They have a couple ultimates to their name, but so does Immortals in this next fight. And let's take a look. It's actually going to be the support ultimates up for Luminosity. And of course, Sound Barrier so good at helping you just push on into a solid defense. And we're going to see that coming from Luminosity as soon as Immortals come in. Yes, there's the Sound Barrier. It's going to give them so much more survivability. And that means they're going to be getting the kills right off the bat. Only silver lining in this one is that Luminosity used some ults, but both sides used all of the ults. No more ults left whatsoever, except for Forsaken, who just built his up.
The two support ultimates were an absolute key there for Luminosity. They will be able to eventually clear this out, but using those are, well, basically to buy themselves a little bit of extra time on the point. Most importantly, though, Immortals didn't have theirs. They will have Transcendence for the next team fight. Raucous is absolutely nowhere close to Sound Barrier right now, and the fight, I have to say, from their point of view, was scrappy. Let's see if they can recreate the first one. They're moving on in again, but FACEIT coming in with the chop. Someone needs to get rid of this guy very quickly indeed, and that's going to force Forsaken to come out with the Transcendence. A good move from Immortals, but now they need the DPS to start things off. Triple kill coming out from them, which is good. FACEIT finally goes down to Shadowburn, and I think Immortals might be able to flip the point now.
Oh, and you gotta feel like that's a little bit of a lack of communication from the Immortals side, because Zenyatta's ultimate, Transcendence, is the perfect counter to Dragon Blade. A Dragon Blade does not output enough DPS to kill people right within the Transcendence, yet Zombs just stepped a little bit too far out of it and then faced his doom immediately after. So, Immortals, I think that they need to just stick together a little bit more as a team, push as one.
Well, they're able to capture the point, at least even with that mistake, so that's going to be really good news for them. Now the question is if they can hold it. They need to win these back-to-back team fights to really get that build on the percentage there, on the charge bar. And now we see, wow, Genji actually combining very well with Winston to basically completely distract all of the DPS players there from Immortals, but unfortunately the support is too good. The sustain at the moment means Immortals win their first back-to-back fight.
All right, one more chance now for LG to get this point, and Immortals striking back. They have done it. Even after looking a slight bit shaky on this point, it is control center, it is hectic, it is crazy, it's all in one contained room for the most part. But now only one chance left for Luminosity.
Oh man, and are we going to see Shadowburn here? I'm looking to see if we're going to be smelling a die, or if we're going to be saving that for the very end. FACEIT now getting taken out by Too Easy. Immortals now strying. They're basically fighting for the point here, and Shadowburn goes down. Backfiction has got an ultimate available, but right now Luminosity are all over the point. They're trying to wrestle this away. They need to do it because it's 99% overtime. If they're able to take this now, the momentum sits with them, and that is very dangerous.
Yeah, and Luminosity, they have the point, they've regained control, and they have a couple of ultimates to their name. Icefeld soon to have his Pulse Bomb as well, so will he be able to flank and get an early pick? I want to say if Icefeld can find that pick, it's going to shut this next push down big time. In fact, he might be able to just do it with the guns. It's going to be Transcendence on both sides, both teams clashing right in the middle, and the Pulse Bomb goes right onto the Transcendence Zenyatta. So, Too Easy, Shadowburn combining for two, and Immortals with the advantage.
There's Shadowburn now with the Death Blossom, using it at the last. Really waiting, though. 99% versus 94, and Immortals are going to be able to retake this. Overtime is now ticking away. Everyone is trying to rush to get onto the point. Overtime has at least been reset, so Luminosity are going to have one more opportunity to do this, but the first two kills go the way of Immortals, and it looks like they have done just about enough. I have to say, that last team fight, when Zombs came out with the Graviton Surge, I was expecting Death Blossom straight away. It didn't happen, but they are going to be able to win it anyway, and that was a critical point here for Immortals.
Yeah, Immortals getting some sign of relief here. After, well, pretty dominant performance from LG over the last 20-30 minutes or so, they've at least stricken back and gotten one capture on the Zhang Tower. So let's see if they can keep this momentum going as we do move on to the next point, and we'll find out where that is very shortly here, Jorasar. But yeah, Immortals does strike back. We're headed to Garden. Wide open map here, and we'll see if there's any switch-ups. Shadowburn's actually going to continue to play Reaper here. I guess that's been working for them so far. Well, actually, Tiani is going to stick with Genji, so no Genji from Shadowburn. But of course, we've seen his Reaper dominant as well.
It all comes down to just how wide open these spaces are going to be. Will Death Blossom be useful if you're fighting in the small room? Of course it will, but out in the open, significantly less so. So we'll see what the positioning looks like here. First two kills again going the way of Immortals, but now Luminosity fighting right back. Backfiction grabbing one of his own though, and Too Easy is absolutely all over the shop, just focusing on making sure he divides and conquers as much as possible. Spots Genji, gets Genji, and that is an absolutely critical pick. Immortals, for the second time in a row, will be able to capture the point first here.
All right, Backfiction left with so little health. He's going to be able to escape, though, and get healed on up from his friendly supports. So Too Easy actually now going to be aggressive as Tracer. Let's see what he can do. He does have a Pulse Bomb. Will he be able to zip in and zip out, placing that Pulse Bomb? Of course, crossing over the bridge is a pretty narrow area, so a Pulse Bomb can actually cover pretty much the whole mid section there, but Icefeld going crazy aggressive, zipping right into the action, and Zombs caught out a little bit too far.
Wow. And chucking the pulse bomb on to the bottom there, unfortunately, means that it's not actually going to get any additional damage done for Icefeld there. But he's still managing to stay alive and still producing an awful lot of DPS against Immortals. We see FactFiction now switching over to Winston, by the way, so he's gone ahead and done that. Shadowburn with the ultimate available, looking for opportunities, but it was basically just a one-on-one fight. He didn't need it, and as a result, Icefeld goes down. Immortals retain control of the point.
All right, Immortals. Seems like there was a pep talk that happened in between these games because they have come together and they're looking much, much better now that we move on to the Garden phase. Xiani, of course, as Genji is going to easily be able to jump on over, and it's a big flank. 3 of them jumping over the mid-section there, and that's going to push out the Transcendence. So this Dragon Blade is not going to do a ton, but actually does more than I was expecting. Able to get a couple slices in there. Icefeld's going to combine for a few more. Ruster gets a 3rd. So their Immortals have dropped off the face of the planet. All 6 dead and out.
That was absolutely fantastic. The combination of Ruster and the deflect, by the way, actually countered a good amount of the damage coming out from the Transcendence. Of course, 300 a second is not a lot to be shaken at as well. That's absolutely tremendous. But they were using their own damage against them as well, and into conjunction with their DPS, was just able to get so much done once the Transcendence finished. So that was really nicely played from Luminosity. Immortals now a little bit on the back foot, but they have got 65% charge on the point, and they are still technically leading right now.
And Immortals, they were on the point there for a second, but pushed off very quickly. And after a really nice start to the Gardens phase, they've been somewhat stumped now that Luminosity has the control. Let's take a look at the ultimates. Does look fairly even, although a couple of ultimates about to be ready for the Immortals. This next fight should go their way. They are going to be able to engage with the sound barrier. They're about to have a Graviton Surge to boot. So this is enough. This is what they need. Graviton Surge is not good. It does not hit anything whatsoever. At least, though, it forces out the Transcendence.
I'm surprised it actually forced out the Transcendence there. I wonder if that's because Luminosity just wanted to absolutely collapse on it, but I think that was actually a little bit premature. As Forsaken and Zombs getting a kill, Ishuizi coming in with a kill as well. I'm now definitely sure that Transcendence was premature now. Who were you defending against? We were maybe keeping 1, maximum 2 other heroes alive, and Immortals completely collapsed onto Luminosity after the end of that.
Yeah, that said, looking pretty even for this next fight. So which way will Luminosity decide to go? Typically, you do see people go over the bridge. The safer route in most cases, a lot more open, but you still relatively can find it as well. But Immortals will pick up 3, make that 4 in a row. FactFiction, the only one to go down in that engagement, and Luminosity, if they're smart, they run or they jump off. They don't want to build any more ultimate for Immortals.
Really important initial pick up on Ruster there, by the way, immediately spotting the Discord Orb and then using Tracer to dispatch off him as quickly as possible, because Winston can, of course, be such a massive influence, especially in situations where you have Graviton Surge. Speaking of Graviton Surge, there is a big one coming out right now. Can Luminosity do anything about this, though? The point, we now have Saini moving in with his ultimate. He gets completely shut down. Shadowburn with a double kill, and Zombs is going to be mopping up as well, and that is 2-0 for Immortals. They are bringing the fight back to Luminosity right now, and after Nepal, that has got to be a breath of fresh air.
Oh, definitely, and will we go the full way? Will it be a 3-2 and scoreline here? That's what the fans want. That's what we want.
True.
We'll see if it can happen. Luminosity still looking strong with a 2-1 lead and a big hill to climb. The question is, are we going to go to another King of the Hill map, or will it be Temple of Anubis?
Oh, man, and I mean... Okay, so if Luminosity lose this, because don't forget, Immortals still need to be able to finish 1 more before they actually take Lijiang Tower. I feel like Luminosity, they could go Anubis, but you know what? We don't really see Anubis or Ilios that much. It's really difficult to call. This map pool that we have to choose from is so unconventional that with Dorado out of the way, I don't really know which way we're going here.
And guys, I apologize for the main part. The game is not over yet. It's still just 2-0. So Immortals still have 1 more game that they have to win in this King of the Hill map. So Lijiang continues on. Here as we move on into the middle of the map, the positioning advantage was for Luminosity there, but they've dropped too quickly. Immortals have gotten the kills that they needed. Xiani, the only one alive, is he going to pull a miracle here? Able to get a little bit further than I expected there.
Yeah, the deflect there not quite doing what he wanted it to do. Immortals looking very, very strong on Lijiang Tower. Whatever the pep talk you were talking about, Ben, it certainly worked. But the job is not done yet. We're up to 10% now. Luminosity are going to reset and try and pop back in. Ice Belt, of course, has been so unbelievably effective on Tracer, but Too Easy, I have to say, has been more than a match for him of late. And there's a Pulse Bomb onto Lucio. Mineral gets blown into approximately 3,500 tiny pieces. And now we have Saini coming in with the Dragon Blade. He's looking for kills. He gets one, gets two, looking for three, gets Too Easy as well. And this will surely be a flip on the point for Luminosity.
Okay, but Fact Fiction wants to delay this a little bit. Of course, the longer you delay, the more percentage points you're going to be able to get. He actually gets a kill for his favor as well there. Still, the point will flip, and now in favor, actually in control by Luminosity.
Shadowburn now plotting his comeback. Ooh, spots a Genji, spots a Winston as well. And hang on a second, this wasn't part of the script. Managing to Wraith form over to the health pack at least. But these guys do have to be a little bit careful for those flanks as well. Primal Rage now getting popped, and a Reaper is not going to be liking that at all. That is 4 kills to start things off from Luminosity. Immortals are in a lot of trouble here. They need to reset. Forsaken, the only person making it out there alive.
Yeah, Luminosity. That was actually an incredibly important knockoff of the Reaper. Because if you've played any Overwatch at all, you know that Reaper tears through Winston, absolutely demolishes the Ape. So, the fact that Reaper was out of the fight, incredibly important there for Luminosity.
Now Forsaken getting taken out first, so it looks like his longevity wasn't going to be preserved very much longer anyway. First 2 picks from Luminosity plus 4 ultimates. We need to mention this. Icefeld save Manitin and Mineral, so that's both support ultimates, Pulse Bomb and Graviton Surge all available, so the Wombo combo is there as well for Luminosity in an incredibly strong position. Immortals though building their own ults up, and that is 4 ults plus a retake of the point with no ultimates used.
Oh god, watch out guys, we're about to see some insanity take place as we have a combined total of like 8 or 9 or 10 ultimates up on the board right now.
Yep.
And it's about to go down. Forsaken almost about to have Transcendence as well. So, if you're prone to epileptic fits, you might want to turn away, because here come the Transcendences, here come the Graviton Surges as the fight begins.
All right, and the Transcendence coming out now, trying to stop the rot there, but 2 players already going down for Immortals, and we have a Shadowburn trying to get a couple of extra kills, manages to get a triple, and Fact Fiction cleaning up as well. That was absolutely critical from Immortals. They were actually down 1 player at the point where Shadowburn decided enough was enough, and they will be able to hold on. 88% place 46, and this is for Lijiang Tower. Luminosity must come back now if they want to try and win this outright.
All right, Sandy now actually switched on over to McCree, and you got to think that's in order to try and take out Too Easy, who's been a pest as Tracer. No longer on Reaper, no longer on Genji, and Sandy has been switching a whole lot here.
They're trying to find the right formula. Yeah, they're
going the way of... Luminosity has dominated. They've taken control with ease in the right time as we're up to 50% versus 99. And Immortals got to start sweating now because they were on the verge of taking the map, but now they need to break back in.
So Immortals will have 2 team fights available here. Shadowburn, though, has already used his ultimate, so it's going to take a while for him to charge that up. This first team fight needs to be about building ult for Immortals. They're at 99%. They need to stay calm, and they need to make sure that they have that advantage over Luminosity. Fact Fiction and Too Easy making an excellent start, but Luminosity understandably getting a couple of kills back of their own as well. Manitin also hasn't found cause to use Graviton Surge yet. That's going to be kept in the bag potentially for the final fight here. And Immortals right now doing okay, but I wouldn't say doing brilliantly. Too Easy, though, with the double, and Raucous, was that a boop actually? That is a double from him, so they are swinging, and they are absolutely turning the tables. I was not expecting to go that well for them.
Yeah, that was really nice stuff coming out of Raucous, combining with his teammates. Good team play, they're calling out targets, they're making it happen, and this does look like it could happen here now for Immortals. One last chance, Sandy gets a nice headshot. There down goes Too Easy, but the Graviton Surge stops him in the doorway, and that is the map for Immortals, making the scoreline now 1-2.
Very, very nicely played. GG's coming on out. Manitin with the play of the game as Zarya, doing tremendously well. And we were calling him out. Absolutely fantastic. And this is going to mean on Lijiang Tower, Immortals manage to pull it back.
If you're watching Team Chat, you know we're going to go to Ilios. We haven't seen Ilios at all today or yesterday, not even once have we gone to this map. So here we go. Ilios is gonna be the next map up for the 3rd King of the Hill in this best of 5.
This is interesting as well because you've just lost the King of the Hill 3-0. Where are you going to go? To another King of the Hill. So Luminosity convinced right now that it was absolutely no fluke that they won on Nepal Lijiang Tower. Maybe they're thinking, don't worry about it, that's a little bit of a blip. We will prove them wrong on Ilios. It's very rare we have all 3 King of the Hill maps in one series between 2 teams, but Luminosity confident that they can pip to the post and take it 3-1. When we come back, ladies and gentlemen, Ilios is map number 4.
When we were talking about Zoms, we mentioned that he was getting 3 people at minimum in every single Graviton Surge. Not so much the case today. Is that LG just playing smart, spreading apart, or is that Zoms not quite comfortable right now? You have to remember he's also playing from the US on the European server, so that could have something to do with it as well. But overtalk is over, and Ilios is now in game number 4, currently 2-1 in favor of Luminosity.
This is actually just Jorisar and Fish Sticks 1v1 while we keep talking.
I'd be down. I'd be down.
It'd be great. We could play basket. Oh, that's actually quite close to sinking it there. Good effort, good effort. I believe that was fact fiction there with the attempted basket.
You can just cheat and go Symmetra now.
No, that does count as cheating. We would call them out.
Almost in.
We would
So we're starting on Ruins. And this is the Monkey's playground. I really, really think Winston is almost a must on this point, and almost a must on King of the Hill in general.
Interestingly, though, we were talking about Tracer versus Reaper. I think on this point, Tracer might be marginally preferred. Immortals, they're not even going to bother with that decision. They're running with both.
Yeah, Tracer and Reaper in play. Shadowburn really known for his Genji, but he's been dominating with Reaper as well. In fact, almost as much so. So will Tierney... Oh, Tierney goes down immediately. What happened there?
That's the big difference between the 2 teams, by the way. It was Tierney versus Shadowburn, Genji versus Reaper at the moment. The main difference right now. And 2-easy Shadowburn are absolutely steamrolling all over Luminosity. And as a result, Immortals will be able to take the first point. Now, it's a little bit tricky because when you're collapsing onto this point, it does actually favor the attacker if everyone is down in the pit. So positioning for Immortals, it means you are more likely to overextend because you have to be on the high ground. It does make it a little trickier to defend.
Yeah, here we go. As Immortals have taken up to 15%, it's still time, though, for Luminosity to jump on in. But no kills just yet. Rooster already low on health. Jenny is going to go down. And look at that, 4 kills in a row. Shadowburn has been dominant with Reaper so far.
Saini hasn't got a word in edgeways with Genji. I mean, obviously that's going to change for a period of time when Dragon Blade comes out. But no, he's not even waiting. He swapped over to Reaper as well. He has seen the light and he goes, okay, I give up. This is actually really, really good. So I'm going to go ahead and copy you.
Yeah, okay, so Senny now over on Reaper, and we have a fully mirrored composition again, folks. This just seems to keep happening here on these King of the Hill maps and other maps as well, as the standardized compositions are sort of solidifying over time. But Shadowburn left with 4 health. He was right on that Tracer Bomb. I don't know how it didn't kill him.
This is ridiculous. I mean, Shadowburn has now killed Saini 3 times in a row. I'm pretty sure Saini is sat at his computer right now with a Shadowburn voodoo doll, and he's constantly poking pins in its head, but nothing is working.
Ouch.
Shadowburn is absolutely on a tear, and Luminosity right now, they need some answers and they need them quickly. And Saini looks like he's going to try and do that in the form of a Mericree.
Yeah, Mericree. McCree's coming out for the first time, and Sandy has switched characters 3 times in just about 2 minutes here on Ruins phase. Shadowburn is able to get some meat shots on to Manatan. Manatan left with no health, and he's going to go down. And that's 3 easy kills for Immortals as they do rip out the Graviton Surge. And now there's barely time for Luminosity to try to even keep this point alive. In fact, it might already be over.
So one thing we didn't point out there is that Immortals had 6 ultimates available, ladies and gentlemen. You read that right. They had a maximum, and Zoms and 2-easy combined and kept 4 of the ultimates up as well. Raucous now staggering the sound barrier to try and get a couple of extra points off. Admittedly, they're not able to do that, but now Forsaken coming out with Transcendence as well. Immortals are staggering their ultimates beautifully here. Here comes Shadowburn. Is this the nail in the coffin for Luminosity on this point? I think so. They're trying to take it, but oh my god, they used all 6 of their ultimates really well. Luminosity, they need to reset.
All right, Immortals have turned their on switch to go because it's time for them to fight back, and it looks like they're doing just that. Really dominant performance there, and I think it just came down to the fact that they were getting that early pick on Sandy time and time again. And
yes,
I like the fact that he tried to switch to McCree. It does make sense, especially against a Reaper, kind of try to outrange them. outrange the Reaper, and also you can use the flashbang against the Tracer, but
was it too
no
little too
dice.
late, though, by that point?
Perhaps.
Because by the time he switched over to McCree, Immortals basically
He
had
had
6
6
ults
ults
up. And it wasn't just the 6 ults. It was 6 ults, then use 2 in one fight, use 2 in the other, and use the final 2 to finish it off. So Immortals staggered that beautifully, and Saini got... there's no other word for it. He was dominated by Shadowburn on the first point. He's capable of resetting. I think Genji is a lot better on the Lighthouse point, by the way.
Is this real life? Oh.
Because you are actually going to see a lot more verticality here. So maybe Genji will have a little bit more utility and Saini will be okay.
Oh yeah, I absolutely adore Genji on these points where he can just get the high ground so easily, but Shadowburn still sticking with his pick of Reaper, and the first 2 kills already going the way of Immortals in dominant fashion. What has happened?
Wow.
They look like a different team.
Too Easy just grabbed 3. You know, I think Immortals just went, guys, the first 2 letters of our name are IM. That actually changes the definition of this word here. And they went, oh yeah, thanks for that. And they went ahead and had that pep talk. This has just been straight up dominant from them on Ilios so far. We weren't necessarily expecting anything. We had no idea what to expect coming into the 3rd King of the Hill out of 3. And I'm okay with that because it might mean we get Anubis, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. Luminosity still have a comfortable opportunity to do this. Saini once again now switching off of Genji onto McCree, so he's switching an awful lot right now.
What is actually happening right now? This is utter domination by Immortals. It's not like they're slightly winning the fights and coming out on top just by a hair or even by 1 or 2. They're not dying. Only 1 or 2 of them are dying in most of these engagements, and they haven't even looked phased so far here on Ilios. And you gotta wonder what's going on with the Luminosity squad. And Taney has switched heroes dozens of times in this map.
He's just rotating between the 3 and keeping everybody guessing at this point. Something that we say about a lot of Overwatch is about how much of it comes down to momentum. And right now, Immortals are just enjoying so much momentum on these King of the Hill maps, it's absolutely absurd. They're building the ultimate charge faster, and they're staggering the kills as well. So Luminosity, they need to start this off by winning 1 big team fight. Then they need to start getting those picks off so they can actually get a better ultimate charge than Immortals going into the next team fight as well. But they haven't been able to complete step 1, so step 2 at the moment looks a million miles away.
And it's happened again, Jorisar. It's happened again. Another huge team fight goes down, and only 1 person on Immortals even dropped in that fight. And actually, I think he pulse bombed himself. It was a self kill by Too Easy, or it wasn't a pulse bomb. He must have just jumped off.
Oh no,
Or got
Shadowburn looking for targets. Not actually going to be using his ultimate there, just moving on back. Too Easy. He's actually going to be taking a couple of those out. He picks up Zabe, and that's both supports, by the way, down at the moment for Luminosity. Forsaken Fact Fiction, they both go down here, so we're getting some of those picks we were talking about earlier that Luminosity absolutely need to get. But it is nowhere close to enough to overcome this. And 2-0 by a scoreline of 100% to 0. Immortals right now are looking unstoppable.
And Forsaken drops the XD in chat, trying to tilt the opponents even more so, and they've got to be tilted right now. They didn't even look, nothing looked close to getting into the point. Every time they engaged, 1 or 2 of them died immediately, and then it was just over from there.
So it was the Icefeld, Saini, and Maniton show. We should go back to Nepal and pick up the pieces for Luminosity and go, actually, I remember a time when things were going very, very well for them. But right now, Immortals have just picked it up. Too Easy has definitely had the better of Icefeld. Shadowburn has been all over Saini. We're going to end up talking about this no matter what happens in the series. And Maniton and Zoms, I feel like have sort of evened out a little bit. Zoms has actually picked it up. I wouldn't say Maniton has notably dropped off quite as much, but the 2 DPS plays are just so critical to making those Graviton surges work. It's only 1/2 the equation.
Yeah, and you take a look at the roster for Luminosity, not even running with the Tracer right now. A Ruster brought down to so little health, he's almost dead already, and he might be the first casualty for Immortals here. Ruster able to back off, but he's still low.
Still continuing to struggle there. If you take a look at Luminosity, about most of the team were at half health just now, so they're struggling a little bit, even though none of them have actually gone down. Immortals, if they actually get the support heroes picked off first, that's going to be excellent, but Shadowburn doing the opposite and picking off Zabe as well. Saini now finally getting the kill on the board, and a little bit of a boop means that Maniton's going to go down as well. Very nicely played there by Raucus, I have to say. Luminosity down to Immortals are still all alive.
Don't go near that edge. Don't do it. You're going to get booped. Raucus has had his finger on the trigger for that boop button, and it's been working out for him so far. And This is one of the maps where you'll see more environmental kills than just about anywhere. If you're coming from either the left or the right, you're putting yourself in dire danger of falling to your doom.
Immortals once again up to 30% now on the point. Luminosity need to make this happen. Mineral has got the sound barrier. He's going to be engaging here. We have what looks like a Graviton Surge only for Mineral, so I guess he's getting the VIP treatment there with a laser to the face to boot. And he's going to go down. Manatin getting taken out by Too Easy as well. No, pardon me, that was by Zonz in that Zarya versus Zarya battle. Shadowbird, again, when is the last time we saw him dead? He has been absolutely phenomenal on Reaper.
And there you go. Tsani taken down once more. He's on Genji. This guy absolutely loves to switch his heroes up when it's not working. But please, stick with Genji. You're about to have a Dragon Blade. And I think Dragon Blade is actually what they need. They need a super big ultimate to come in and make the game change in a moment.
They need a team. They need to be defending. I feel like when Luminosity are defending the point, they're doing a lot better than when they're attacking right now. And they need to get in and grab those kills. Ruster at least getting one off. But Shadowburn once again now moving out actually in the open air with Death Blossom, not really getting too much done. And Tsani now looking for kills, gets one, but unfortunately gets taken out there. Icebell coming in to pick up the pieces. Is this what Luminosity needed?
Yeah, strangely enough, Luminosity, this is the best fight they've had, and they only have a one-man advantage at this point. But it does look like they are going to slowly be able to whittle down Too Easy. Oh, but he has the Harmony Orb. They can't kill him. He's still alive. It was literally just a Zenyatta and a Tracer on the point. I thought LG was for sure going to retake. Oh, they finally retake. But now that they've retaken, they're actually at the disadvantage.
They're still in the middle of the fight. Unfortunately, the retake was by the time the rest of Immortals basically popped out again, and they immediately flip it back. Only 9% right now. Overtime is going to whittle down, and by a score line of 3-0, the same as on Lijiang Tower, Immortals now win 6 King of the Hill points in a row to tie up the series.
And honestly, this is a not like this moment. This really is, because what a dominant performance out of LG to start out this best of 5, and it's been taken right back. Rock is there with a nice boop, healing up his teammates. Zooming on in, will there be another boop? Or just an elimination the good old-fashioned way? But fantastic work by Immortals. They pulled their chin up, they pulled themselves up from their own bootstraps, and made it happen, bringing this back to a 2-2 scoreline. And we talked about this. It was going to be a 3-2. I felt it.
I knew it. 3-2. You called it, Ben.
And it's going to a 3-2.
This is...
And it's going to end with Anubis of all maps.
I don't really know what to think. After what we saw on Nepal, you have to be wondering, number one, Luminosity was so good on Nepal. Absolutely fantastic. But also, number two, in comparison, it looked like Immortals were playing with one hand tied behind their back. Where was this performance back then? They are absolutely strong right now. And most importantly, Overwatch is a game about momentum. 2-0 up. Luminosity, unfortunately, have brought it back to 2-all, thanks to Immortals showing some absolutely superhuman stuff in King of the Hill. And now we move on to Anubis.
Yeah, it just kind of felt like Dragon Ball Z when Goku drops the training weights, goes ham. But you know that LG still has, this is not their final evolution. They're gonna bring something out special.
Yes.
We're headed to Anubis next. Stay tuned, because the final map in this best of 5 is coming right up, and the EU qualifier will be over very shortly. Don't go anywhere. Stick to more standard compositions than North America. Over on the North American side of things, you've got teams like NRG, you've got teams like Cloud9 and Envious that will sometimes throw a wrench into the plan. You know, we did see even Widowmaker yesterday and Ana coming into play from time to time in the North American side. So we don't see it often from European teams, but I do hope we see it now.
We're also technically, well, there's a chance we're not done with King of the Hill yet as well, because if this ends up going to a tie, with the time bank system, of course, we don't go to coin flip. We're going to go to a best of 3 King of the Hill. So we could well see even more here. And it looks like
vodka.
We don't know for sure that's vodka. But we can assume. That's I mean, I couldn't personally endorse it, but it's certainly an interesting combination.
Sparkling water, fine.
You get some interesting plays, let's put it that way.
All right, here we go. Will there be anything out of the ordinary, or is it going to be standard as standard comes? Looks like it's probably going to be the latter. Well, not totally standard. We do have a Diva in play and a Winston, so that's actually kind of unique. Usually, this day and age, you do see Winston paired up with Zarya. It's just so important to put that Zarya shield on the Winston. But I like D.Va here as well. With all these tight, confined choke points, her defensive matrix can be massive. Here comes the flank from Icefeld.
Icefeld looking for targets. We'll spot a couple, and he's going, hang on a second, the rest of the team are there as well. He's going to be focusing on Genji instead. Zombs and Shadowburn getting the first 2 kills, though, and Immortals are starting this map the way they actually finished the previous one. Saini is going to have to back out on Genji as well. So Luminosity getting pushed back to begin here. Very, very nicely done. But of course, there is plenty of time left to go. This is time bank, so both teams can effectively complete the map multiple times here.
And this is starting to look good for Immortals already. Kind of reminiscent of the last couple of maps. They're starting this engagement out immediately with a kill from Shadowburn, so no big surprise there.
Shadowburn now, he's just going to be really on covering fire duty. He's taking a look. Oh, he actually spots the flank. That was really well done there from him. And here comes Winston. Winston's in trying to spot those high DPS targets, but he won't be able to get too far in. Manatin as well out of the suit already, and that's going to be rather difficult for him to survive very long. The supports, though, are key to this. We're looking for Mineral. We get him. Zabe also almost has Transcendence available, and that can very often be something that switches the tide here. Immortal's getting a triple kill before that is able to come out, though.
Icefeld could switch the fate for his team right here with that single pulse bomb. It was looking quite even, but Icefeld doing his best to make things happen. Will eventually go down, though, and that's actually not good at all for the attacking team of Luminosity, because now they have to wait. They have to wait for Icefeld, and they're not waiting. So now they're actually pushing in with a... Well, they have, it's actually even on the point, but in come the reinforcements from Immortals. They're coming from spawn right here and right now, and it's a crazy fight. Who knows what can happen? Anything could, because that Zenyatta's out. Shadowburn's blade is not going to have much effect.
Transcendence and Sound Barrier both coming out now for Luminosity. Immortals, you're absolutely right, Ben. Those staggered deaths, especially from Icefeld, allowed them to really get a massive advantage. That's Icefeld actually with 3 at the moment. Forget Saini. Icefeld has taken this by the horns, and because Immortals take that much longer to get back to point A from their spawn, it meant that Luminosity were able to reinforce quicker, and now we wonder, is there going to be a snowball here? Is this a very quick take now from Luminosity on point B?
Okay, support ultimates dropped on both sides. Immortals still on the point, but they're dropping quicker. Too Easy will pick up a consolation kill, and that's very, very important now as it is 5v5 on the point. Of course, remember, folks, Immortals spawns right around the corner, so if they're able to even get 3 kills for every 2, or 2 kills for every 3, I should say, they're going to be okay for here and now, and Ruster is going to go down, so they have help. They haven't been snowballed just yet. Tiany's going to do his best, but he's just a pixel of health. Somebody take him down.
Oh man, and that's actually 4 in a row for Immortals right now. So Luminosity get to... This is really important because we talk about momentum in the series, but let's talk about momentum on the map. These 2 capture point maps, Hanamura, we're taking a look at Temple of Anubis, and of course we have Volskaya as well. They're often very snowball. You build up an ultimate advantage on the first point and you dive straight in on the second and you win straight away. The fact that Immortals have held that off might mean that they're going to get a really, really big advantage on the time bank here.
Okay, so it looks like it's a full push onto the left-hand side. They're filtering in, but this means that they're all stuck together. But Sandy gets the initial kill early on Too Easy, which means it's a 6 versus 5 in this next engagement, hugely in favor of Luminosity.
Too Easy coming back now as Reaper. He will be able to rejoin the action. He's actually quite close to a Death Blossom as well. Transcendence being popped from Dave, so that means the DPS ultimates coming in later on from Immortals could end up being a huge difference maker here. Pulse Bomb coming out. Zany and Rusty getting a kill each though, and Luminosity's trying to get the upper hand in this engagement, but Too Easy comes on out. We were talking about the Death Blossom. He drops it, gets the triple, and Immortals now once again retaking control of the point. Where are the ultimates? Where is the big advantage that lets Luminosity steamroll? It's not there.
That was looking good for a second. Looking great for a second for Luminosity. They were able to bait out both support ultimates from the defending team of Immortals, but they couldn't weather the storm in the end. It was the ultimate from Too Easy that really was the game changer in that last push, and now they have to start all over again. They're somewhat close now to having the sound barrier, which is very important for this next push. And they're all bunching up in the left room once again. There could be another flank though. We'll see if anyone tries to flank as they come out this tight choke. They do have the Reinhardt shield to hide behind though.
And now the Graviton Surge coming out for the side of Luminosity. They need to make this count. They managed to get teams actually on both sides. Two separate groups of heroes. They're doing an awful lot of DPS. And now Immortals look like they might be in a little bit of trouble. Both sides actually trading out. They're trying to pick up the support heroes. Manitin getting the triple kill from behind the point itself. That could be what Luminosity needed. Are they able to capture the point? It's down to 2/3. It gets contested once again. Will this be a trickle in from Immortals, or will Luminosity finally catch?
Good God. Manitin is going ham right now. He's had over 80 charge for the last 30 seconds or so, and he's gotten kill after kill after kill. Zarya is so potent when she has the charge that she needs, and Manitin taking full advantage of this. Doesn't seem that Immortals have had any answer for it yet, and this is still looking great for the attacking team, yet the ultimates are piling on for the defense. Immortals somehow, someway have managed to hold on. How did this happen after Manitin went so ham? He's got to be in team chat just like, guys, can someone else get some kills, please?
Yeah, I know, right? Can we just say, by the way, this is why on the 2 capture point maps, momentum is so important. On any other map we've seen so far today, Manitin, with that kind of performance, would have steamrolled Immortals. Let's not kid ourselves there. That was a fantastic individual performance, and yet Immortals are still able to defend point B. There are now only 3 minutes remaining on Luminosity's time bank. So much is being wasted, and Too Easy is back on Reaper, so we have to be very, very careful about that.
All right, and we will see. Okay, Too Easy actually falls back to the spawn.
No, surely not. Come on, Too Easy. Bastion? Are we seeing the Bastion?
I told you we were going to see some kind of weird picks.
Oh my God.
You know, when this catches you off guard, it
is that a golden gun
insane.
Bastion as well? It is. Wow, this guy spares no effort at all. And these guys were not expecting it. Saini with the deflect, but Too Easy being very wise and able to stop shooting. Otherwise, he basically dies in about a quarter of a second to his own bullets. This, I don't even know what to think anymore. I mean, this is working for Immortals right now. Why not? There's no ultimate advantage in previous fights. Luminosity have got 3 moving forward, though. And importantly, Dragon Blade and Graviton Surge.
This is interesting, actually. Zoms has switched over to D.Va. And that, I think, is to use the defensive matrix and give a little bit of extra time for the Bastion. Bastion doing his best to try to track. As Sandy is starting to go ham. Ice Belt is going to combine, and they finally cap. But that is not a good time at all.
1 minute and 53 seconds left on time back. Saini singled out Bastion for some love there, I have to say. And that was a very interesting play to finish things off. It obviously bought them a lot of time, and Immortals right now have to, well, they've got, frankly, a ridiculous amount of time to work with here.
You know what? You know what, Jurosar? I gotta say, man, that was exciting. That was different. That was unique.
That was great.
It was hard to call throughout the whole map. On the first point, there were moments where I thought that the defense had spawned and was the reinforcements were going to get there in time, but no, the right play at the right time was all that Luminosity needed to take a pretty good time on that first point. Second point, a totally different story. Immortals were able to reinforce much quicker, obviously because the spawn is right there, making this just a crazy, hectic, chaotic game.
Let's talk about the right thing at the right time, because I think you absolutely hit the nail on the head. What we had there was Luminosity not able to carry the momentum into point B. They came very close to actually capturing B straight away, and the difference between capping it straight away and the time they actually ended up, because Immortals won that very crucial first team fight, was basically 5 in-game minutes. That's an eternity in Overwatch, and that really is going to be the main sticking point here. If Immortals are not able to take the first point in the first couple of pushes, I'm not too worried for them, as long as they're able to be smart about it, build up ultimate charge, or they force Luminosity to use their own ults. Where I'm concerned is the transition between point A and point B. I think that is going to dictate right here how these teams fare.
And actually on this first point, neither team opting to play with a Reinhardt again for the second time. You know, you typically, at least competitive in pub games, tend to see Reinhardt shields right in the middle, blocking off these kind of tight choke points. But I like this. It makes sense, especially on attack. If you're able to jump on in right onto the defense, you create a lot of space for your DPS to do the work that they need to do. And that's why we see D.Va coming out of Zoms here.
Very quick attack coming out from Immortals, trying to pull everyone out of position. Too Easy and Rourke is going down very, very quickly, though, and Zoms, while he's able to actually pull the team apart, the individual team fights that they need to win aren't quite coming right now. It's now 3 versus 4, still in favor of Luminosity, and Zoms is out of the suit, making it ever more difficult, but getting Zave as well with the Bunny Blaster. Icefeld coming into Mop Up.
Well, it does look like another scrappy fight. Another fight that's really hard to call. Here are Immortals on the point. Even though a couple of them died, there's still a chance for Luminosity to jump in. They're biding their time. They're waiting. They want to wait for at least 1 or 2 more people to come around the bend. And here is coming the drop down. It's going to be a Winston bubble going down, and here comes Icefeld. Icefeld easy pickings as he's able to take out Zenyatta. And Too Easy, but Too Easy responds. Immortals still with an advantage here, but Zanny responds. I love this map.
With the double as well, it's just, the staggered kills are really important here because Luminosity are going to take a very long time to actually come back on and defend. So Immortals are perfectly happy for the trading to be 1-for-1, but if they get the rest of the team here as well, that's going to be the key. If there's only 2 of them able to move into point B straight away, that's not going to be good, but you can see already 5 of them, only 1 player still left to go. Oh, that's Shadowburn. He's actually quite important, but now we're going to see if they can carry the momentum over. Shadowburn and FactFiction both have ultimates available. You can see everyone but Zombs over 50% as well, so there is potential for this to happen, but Luminosity are prepared. They've got 3 ults of their own, and Icefeld is waiting in the wings.
Yeah, the momentum has dried up. So it's going to be a good old-fashioned brawl here on the point. Starting with the Winston jumping in. We do have the Shadowburn ultimate. It's going to be coming out here in probably just a second. He's going to get the kill. No! Wraith walking away very quickly, very smartly. Reaper running all the way into spawn. But nonetheless, Shadowburn going to get 2 very quickly. Nice response, though. The tanks doing work for Luminosity, keeping the dream alive. And as we talked about in that last push, defense spawns so damn close to this point. They're going to be here in time, almost for sure, to stop this. Yes,
Shadowburn reaching beyond the veil there to get the kill inside the spawn point. Whoopsie daisy. And Immortals, though, they've been building ult and they've been doing quite a good job of it. In fact, FactFiction, and it's only because he's just switched on to Winston, is the only person on super low ult. Shadowburn tried to make the sword do the work there for Genji, not quite able to do so just then. And Luminosity, interestingly, are now in a position where they might be able to do the same thing Immortals did. There's still 6 minutes and 20 seconds remaining for them to try and cap this point, but don't forget that gets reset to 2 minutes if it ends up dropping less than that.
Okay, here come a flurry of ultimates from both sides. Sandy has to run for his life away from the Diva, but oh, and just as he's about to get the kill on Zenyatta, Zenyatta pops his Transcendence, but that's a big, huge Graviton Surge. Jenny doling out a ton of damage, but no kills.
Oh no!
Shadowburn!
Oh no, Rourke is managing to keep everyone alive, and Shadowburn is now out with the sword as well. 3 down for Luminosity. By the way, everybody on Immortals was more or less down to a quarter health during that Graviton Surge, but none of the kills were forthcoming. That's going to be absolute heartbreak for Luminosity here if Immortals manage to use this opportunity to take the point. And right now, we're up to 2/3. That doesn't go back anytime soon. This is looking very strong.
And no time at all. Oh, there's the Mei finally coming out just for the delay strategy, just trying to keep this going as long as they possibly can. And it's defense has absolutely no time to group up and get together. They're going to have to trickle in 1 by 1. So far, it's going okay for them, but it's snowballing out of control as well as Immortals continuing to get more and more ultimate built up. Too Easy with his ultimate, and that is going to be it. A much quicker time set here by Immortals, which means plenty of time to try and get more points on top of what they just were able to accomplish. We're going to switch sides, though. The question is, what can Luminosity do in these 2 minutes? Will they get 1 point? Will they get 2 points? Certainly possible.
They are going to have to basically make no mistakes and go nail them after nail them after nail them on Immortals right now. Now, to be fair, on 2 capture point maps, we do see that sometimes. And it used to be, oh man, reaching beyond the veil there, as you can see from Shadowburn. It used to be that happened on a very regular basis. So it's very, very plausible and possible that we see Luminosity come out with that against Immortals. But there is absolutely no doubt at this point in time, they are on the back foot. And Immortals, even though they got wiped on point B, were able to bring the momentum and manage to keep the sustain, which is so, so important on maps like this.
Okay, switching sides. LG, 2 minutes on the clock, 1 minute and 59 on the clock. What?
Wow, they got penalized a second.
How'd they lose a second? What happened? Blizzard, please.
It's a leap second. It's an Overwatch leap second. It happens on Temple of Anubis because it happens to cross the international date line this many hundreds of years in the future. And what happens is point B, you get the extra second back and you cap A.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks for that. Thanks for that.
None of that was true.
But if you take a look at this composition, it's not particularly set up to be hyper-aggressive. They still have to go behind the Reinhardt shield, and this is the first time we've seen a Reinhardt shield on the first point.
Yeah, we've got Reinhardt, actually, so that's going to be very interesting. He's actually going very quickly up to the right-hand side as well. So trying, obviously eager to stay as a team, but immediately collapse coming in from Immortals. FactFiction getting a kill off on Zave. That's important because you need to check out the Transcendence charge in the team fights a little bit later on and how much Zenyatta charge you actually have on that here. So even if everyone else dies right now, it's the timing on the Transcendence that's going to be very useful in the next fight.
All right, the fact that they got wiped here, Luminosity that is, they do not have a chance of getting the point right now, and I believe that this kind of means that they have no hope at all at moving on to the second point here on Anubis. So
I think
now
they will get extra time if they kept the first point.
No, they only have 2 minutes left.
This is not normal.
They only have 2 minutes left because of the way the time bank format works here.
Yeah, that's right. It's a final attempt.
Yep, this is their final attempt, and with 1 minute, can they make anything happen? If I'm Luminosity, I am waiting until we have a good amount of ultimates or we get an early pick. One of the two. It's going to be an Immortals Sound Barrier. They've actually used 2 ultimates now. Will they be able to capitalize anything from this? Luminosity does get their Sound Barrier. They now have an advantage. Zom's on the verge of going down. Factor Fiction also going down. Shadowburn is going to respond, though, with 3. Too Easy getting a 4th. So wasted ultimates on both sides, and only one last chance now for LG to get another point.
I think that might end up being that. We're down to 25 seconds right now, and Too Easy absolutely clutch there, going for 2 kills and managing to contribute heavily towards a 3rd as well. You can see Fact Fiction just double checking to see if someone is actually around. You can spot. He turned around to go, hang on a second, if they do cap point A, is there someone already ready to jump down on point B? There isn't at the moment. Luminosity now moving on in. We're down to the last 5 seconds here. Graviton Surge comes out. Too Easy's looking for an opportunity, is even going to need it right now, and here we go.
I love the patience from Too Easy, but I don't know if that was the right move in that situation. So many ultimates pulled out from Luminosity.
Oh wow,
it does look like they have been able to get the kills that they needed to get at least 1 point. So, what does that mean, Jorsart?
Well, overtime's not actually ticking down at the moment.
There we go.
There we go.
There we go. Luminosity gets the point.
Here forever,
it's 3-2. So what this means is that Immortals now has 5 minutes and 12 seconds to try and get 2 points. If they can only get 1, we are going to go
King of the Hill.
Yep.
It'll be a best of 3. King of the Hill is a tiebreaker. If they get both, they win. If they get 0, Luminosity win, though.
Yeah.
So Luminosity have a way to win.
It's unlikely, though. I mean,
yeah.
5 minutes and 12 seconds to get that first point. It's almost for sure going to happen, unless they get something like a Symmetra teleporter up or some kind of crazy
that would be such a
ballsy
move to get Symmetra up here, man.
I mean, people used to do it. Not in the too distant future, or
this is
too distant past.
Maybe in the not too distant future they will as well. But guys, let's go ahead and recap the situation here. The score in the European final for that last place being the guaranteed playoff positions in the Overwatch Open. It's down to 2-2. This is the final map, and Immortals need to capture 2 points to win. Luminosity needs to defend 2 points to win, and we go to a best of 3 King of the Hill if Immortals are able to capture 1. They've got 5 minutes and 12 seconds to do so. That's an awful lot in the time bank. Can Luminosity defend?
So I'm going to go out on a limb and say Immortals gets this first point. It's almost for sure going to happen. So the question is, will they be able to use that momentum, push on to the second point, and collect that as well?
Yeah.
That's what this comes down to for Immortals here as they do begin the engagement. Playing with D.Va once again, and I like this. Oh, but actually an interesting defensive posture here by Luminosity. They're going to be clashing, coming from the flanking angle. Too Easy gets 1, Icefeld gets 1. It's the Reapers drawing blood first here on Anubis.
I'm not sure you can afford just to be trading like this, though. The first 2 kills actually going the way of Luminosity, so 3 Immortals are down at least. But you need to be careful. You need to start stringing those kills together. If you keep trading 1 for 1, it is going to favor the attacker in this position. Immortals are going to get pushed back, though, for the first point. Let's take a look at the ultimate charges, specifically on the support heroes. Lucio more or less neck and neck, and Zave and Forsaken actually still on par with each other as well.
Yeah, Sandy is quite a bit further ahead on Dragon Blade, though, so he actually will have a Dragon Blade somewhere in the middle of this next fight. In fact, he's going to have it somewhere in the next 15 seconds at this rate. In fact, he has it. So will we see the Dragon Blade pulled out right here? And Rooster gets an early kill, so they may not even need it, but Shadowburn's responding. Kills on both sides.
And this trading, I mean, Luminosity are just going to be trickling back, but I feel like every time they lose 2, Immortals are losing 3 right now, so any potential advantage they have of more people trickling in faster, it's getting negated a little bit. Shadowburn is looking for those 2 or 3 kills that will allow them to actually collapse in. Still 4 minutes left for Immortals to make this happen.
And if you can see, folks are coming, filtering in from the spawn. It takes so long to get back, but Sandy goes down! He didn't get a chance to use that Dragon Blade, and that sucks for him, man. Oh, but Icefeld, he's the hero for his team.
Getting the double too easy, coming in with the counter Death Blossom, only getting the one though, and Manitin blasts him into next week. That was absolutely critical for Luminosity. We had Transcendence followed by Death Blossom from both sides there, but Manitin with the strength and presence to say, hang on a second guys, we can just go ahead and play cleanup duty. It's always difficult when there are so many ultimates going off and there are also Transcendence. It just makes it that much trickier to call, but Manitin staying calm and getting the kills he needs to get.
Will this D.Va ult at least going to zone everybody, and Shadowburn has the advantage over Tierney. Tierney with very little health. Now with the sound barrier as well. Immortals looking very strong in this next push. Both teams with sound barrier out. Tierney with only 16 health, but he survives. He still has the sword, and the kills are going the way of Luminosity. And I spoke way too soon, apparently, because Luminosity putting up an incredible defense so far on the first point, holding for much longer than they did the first time around.
We are playing for 3 results, ladies and gentlemen. Luminosity hold this point for another 2 minutes and 40 seconds. They win. They win the grand final. It's not just this map. It's not just this game. It is the entirety of this final. Luminosity, they need to capture the first point. Immortals need to capture the first point to guarantee a draw, and they need to take both points to guarantee a win. This is incredibly tense right now. We have Transcendence coming out from Luminosity. They're trying to stay alive on the point. That stamina oh so important when you have to be running back even further. Icefeld getting the reciprocal kill onto Too Easy. Very important because Too Easy has been fantastically well right now on Anubis, and it looks like Immortals are going to get it reset once again. 2 minutes remaining.
2 minutes, so they are actually in the position that Luminosity were now. It has equalized. Immortals have to make something happen here very quickly. They need an early pick. They need something. They need anything, but that's a nice Graviton Surge. Going to suck up a whole bunch of Luminosity into the Vortex. Icefelt going to come through as well. Going to pick off the Zenyatta. Looking to pick off the enemy Reaper as well. So Too Easy pushed far back. Too Easy survives somehow until now. Rooster is going to chase him down.
The survivability for Luminosity has been great. Everyone's been doing damage, but no one's actually been taking the picks off, and I think that's been the difference. Fact Fiction from underneath, he was not expecting that, and Cine absolutely wiping the floor with him. And Immortals now, they're down to 1 minute and 20 seconds. They have 2 ultimates available. Maybe they can build one more time and go for an absolutely huge charge. That's all they can hope for. I think we're going King of the Hill if they can cap this.
Yeah, I mean, they still have a minute.
Luminosity,
I thought it was going to happen here.
They can win it. They can win it right now.
Yeah, Tenny still has the Dragon Blade. It should be coming out here in a second. There is the sound barrier, so Dragon Blade not going to get any kills right away, but somehow finds the kill anyway.
Oh my god, this is it. This is for all the marbles. That's a double kill right now for Genji. Saini's still alive on under 100 hit points. Once again, Luminosity still with 5 on the point. 4 of the Immortals are dead. That's 45 seconds down. There are no more ultimates available for them right now. No one has an ultimate on the whole map except for Manitin, and Luminosity are on the verge of swinging this around and winning it all.
Yeah, and I am shocked. I really thought that this first point was going to go the way of Immortals at very least. I thought they had a good shot at the second. Of course, they got both points in less than 5 minutes last time around. This time around, completely stumped, though. Maybe they were a little bit too cocky, a little bit too comfortable. Hang on a second, that's though. A massive Graviton Surge. It's going to grab two deaths already on the side of Immortals. Immortals has been dropped. They are going down. They are out, and they need a miracle if they want to win this.
We were talking so much about Manitin on Nepal, and we were talking more about him later on as well, and the crucial play that allows Luminosity to take the grand finals here by the skin of their teeth on the very last point on Anubis. What an incredible best of 5 we have just seen. Saini with the play of the match, but frankly, Manitin in the dying seconds with the play that we're going to be remembering here.
Oh yeah, so many huge Graviton Surges came out from Manitin that game, and you know, I was singing the praises. This was a great moment. I was singing the praises of Zombs all day yesterday, but we just didn't see the same kind of calculated ultimates from him today. We didn't see a ton of massive Graviton Surges, and you can never assign too much value to how important Graviton Surge is in changing the outcome of a team fight.
So, Luminosity are wrapping up the finals, but it was by no means straightforward. We had all sorts of wild predictions before the game. Immortals looking so good yesterday, but Luminosity absolutely stepping it up and waiting until the last possible moment to snatch victory from what we thought might have been the jaws of defeat. This grand finals had it all, and we have the 4 teams going through to the guaranteed playoff positions now set, finally, for the European regions. What an incredible finals we had. There is so so much to talk about that, frankly, I need a binder with everything written down to take through that best of 5. Fortunately, while I wasn't writing, someone else was. Alex. Ridiculous.
Yes, indeed, and I mean, like, there's so much to kind of talk about in this whole best of 5. The first being that we were not necessarily expecting a game of this magnitude, of this caliber, and I think the underdogs definitely did deliver. Luminosity coming into this one, John at one point suggested this was going to be Immortals walk in the park. Ben, bit of a counter offer as well, suggesting we were going to be seeing more from LG, but I mean, that full, and even Anubis in a kind of microcosm, if you just focus on that for a moment, you realize just how good that game was.
Yes.
A spectacular final. If you think about just how much Overwatch we've been kind of delivering to everyone at home, this is probably the best grand final we've had this entire month. It's been a month of Overwatch, and this has been the full 5 maps, the whole. I'm gonna say the best game of the season.